I am a firm believer that there are workarounds for almost everything, and today we're going to take a look at a workaround related to two different things. Actually, we're going to look at this drop down right here, and we're going to see why toggle, when we do a save and we're using the patch command, why it doesn't like this drop down. And then the second thing, and I'll show you how to work around that. And then the second thing that we're going to show today is that when there is a value here, for example, when we select this value, if it already exists within the record, we want it to default to that, whatever it is that's currently in that record. We don't want it to automatically reset to the top, which in this case is PII. So let's go ahead and take a look and see how we do those two things in this brief video. So let's get started. So here I'm inside of PowerApps, and I apologize for those that may be looking at this from a beginner perspective. We're kind of jumping right into the middle of a problem. So if you're not familiar with how to set this type of stuff up, you're going to need to view some other videos. I'm sorry, but this might be educational to you, at least from the sense of, hey, I saw that once in the video and I need to remember how to do that. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first problem, which is this screen right here. So on this screen, we are using a drop down, and we want the drop down to exist because we want to be able to select only from those items. So when we look at this drop down, for example, let's go to items. It's a collection called Col Class, and if you look at Col Class, I'm going to go in here, okay, and then we're going to go to the on visible, right, and then we look at the Col Class. It's not there. So it must be in the app. So there's different places you can set those collections. You can do them in the on screen, on start for the whole app, and you can see I do a lot of my collections here, especially those collections that are static by nature, meaning that they don't have to be updated. So this is a collection, right, called Col Class, and you can see the 4 classifications. That's a static collection, meaning that it's not using any other data except the data that we've provided for it. Now this one here, for example, this is a fluid collection, meaning that I am collecting data and asking, but I'm looking at this list, data understand, at this field, org name, and I'm looking for values inside of that table, inside that list, under that column called org name. And I'm doing the same thing right here for application name. And what this does, the distinct command, is it says that, hey, I only want to get, when I put a unit in or an application in, if it's already there, I don't want multiple ones of that. So I'll try to touch down on that at the end. Let me get back to where we're talking about how to fix this issue right here. So in this issue, we see that it's going with the items are pulling from a collection class, which we want. We want all those items to pull so that when we hit the drop down, it appears exactly the way we want it. Now, if you do not do anything for the default value of this field, then every time it pulls, it's going to pull whatever the first one is on the top of the list. So if we go here, a lot of times you won't see this if statement. You'll see a value there, maybe open quote all, close quote. Maybe it'll just show everything, or it'll just see the first one in it. We don't want that. So let's go ahead and take a look at default here, right there. And notice here what we're saying. We're saying basically, if there's data inside of that field, the field name, the column name is called data class. If there's data in there from the item, this item that I selected from the record that I'm currently on, then I want you to display that data. If not, then I just want you to go to the top of the list. So let's see what that looks like in action. So actually, let's go from the beginning, which is the app screen here. So important note here, when we click on this guy here, right, notice here, and I put some notes here for you. Notice here that when I do that, I'm setting a variable called edit app. And in that variable, okay, I'm calling over to this collection screen, which is right here, screen app collection. So I'm calling that. And when I get to that app, so that's where I'm coming from right there when I click on that. And then it pulls up just ABC stuff. If I go back and pull up A6, for example, notice it tells me A6, CDF, and it gives me different values here. Now notice that this one is set to PII. So this is what we're trying to do, right? We want it to stay at whatever value was pre-selected. Now we're going to move into the next topic area. So I'm going to reveal this right now, and it'll help with ending this conversation as well. So I'm going to turn that visible on. So here it's PII. Got it? We're on A6 PII. Now look what happens. I go back to, let's say 603rd here. I click on this. Now remember, because I'm using this item, what I'm doing is I'm saying this is a gallery, right? This whole thing right here is a gallery. So when I'm clicking on this one record right here, I'm clicking on this item or this record right here, CDF and 603rd. When I click on that, it automatically transfers over that information from the this item property. You see right there, this item app name, this item org name. And the reason why it does that is because it's pulling its items for this gallery from that variable that I set there. And when I click on that button from the previous screen from that gallery, it just loads up that variable. And so that's why I'm pulling in this information. Pretty cool stuff. Now, it's set at PII. Notice I put this right here, PII. Let's just change this over to classified, and we're going to hit save. Now, remember we were 603rd, so 603rd, let's go ahead and click on that again. Now notice that it's still set to classified, and we're good to go. So that if statement that we wrote, let's take a look at that one last time here. This if statement is the statement that you need to make sure that whatever you selected previously is there. Now, to that point, I can select a new one. Let's do CUI, okay? And I'm going to hit save. And when I go back into the 603rd, it should say CUI, which it does. Okay, so that's kind of what we want. Then, because it's in this box, when we hit save, because we've gone ahead and said the save is equal, right? And you can see it right here, which is the next topic we're going to talk about, which is this data class right here. Now, why does it say label data class temp collect, where if we click on this, it says drop down? Well, because that's this file right here, data class. Now, I'm sure there's a way to make this work the right way, but I don't want to mess with it. So the way that I did it was pretty easy. If you go to the toggle for this gallery, and remember, if you don't understand how patching works, you need to view the other videos. But here in toggle, notice here that I'm looking for data class right here. See it right there? This item, it's kind of spread over the two right there. Do you see it? Okay, data class. Now, because I'm doing that, this item right here, data class. Okay, notice here that it's pulling up this label. It's not going to the drop down, and the reason why is if you have the drop down in there, you're going to get some squiggly lines under there that it's not equal to. Now I'm certain, just like we've used value or date value, I'm certain that there's something I can put in front of that to make it work. But I really didn't want to mess with it. It was just as easy for me just to go ahead and say, I'm going to create a label over there, and I'm just going to use it so that whenever I write here, this automatically gets written here. So notice here on our text is calling this drop down. So this is if I click on the drop down right here, drop down, col class 8_1. If I click over here, drop down class 8 underscore 1 dot selected dot value. So the text automatically feeds this label. So whenever I select here, it just automatically goes there. And that makes my save and my toggle so much easier, because now I'm just dealing with a standard text label and I'm not dealing with a drop down value. So that's kind of how you work on that. So two things we talked about today. I just want to go over them real quick once in summary here. So this guy here, if we want to get the data, we need to set the items, okay, here to the collection. And we went over the collection. And I want to set the default here to say, hey, if there's nothing in there, give me whatever the default is for that collection. Otherwise, I want you to put in the data. In this case, it's data class of what you did. Of whatever this data class is, it's equal to this record. Okay, perfect. And then to save this using toggle, which is a patch, and save, we went ahead and just created this hidden file right here, non-visible. We're going to turn it off. We created this label over here that basically says, hey, anything that goes in that drop down automatically put over here. And then when I go to my toggle, I'm just going to call that label. Notice right there, label, and then the label here. And in my save, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to call the label, which is right here. Okay, and then it simplifies my save and things. I can use these date values and values and other things, but that's just kind of how I did it, and it works great. So, hey, good luck, and I hope you learned something about drop downs and saving and patching.